stop. Look at your phone right now. See that message you sent 3 hours ago? The one with 2 blue check marks and silence? That's not an accident. That's not her being busy. That's not her phone dying or her forgetting to respond. That's architecture. Hers is solid, yours is collapsing. And somewhere deep in your chest, beneath the rationalizations and the excuses you're manufacturing right now, you know this. You've always known this. You just never had the language for it. So let me give you the language. You are structurally unsound. Not morally, not intellectually, structurally. Like a building built on sand, you look fine from the outside, but the moment pressure arrives, the moment she tests you, the moment she pulls back, the moment she goes silent, you start cracking. And she can hear it. Women don't consciously analyze this. They feel it. The same way you can feel when you're in an old building that might collapse, they can feel when they're with a man whose foundation is shifting beneath their feet. And they leave. Not because they're cruel, because survival instinct is older than compassion. You thought the problem was that you weren't good enough for her. You worked out, made more money, tried to become more interesting, and none of it worked because you were solving the wrong equation. The problem was never your worth. The problem is that you built your entire sense of self on the approval of others, and then you're shocked when the building collapses the moment that approval is withdrawn. You are a refugee camp pretending to be a fortress, and she knows. Now, before you close this and go back to pretending everything's fine, understand something. This is not another motivational speech. This is not me telling you to believe in yourself or know your worth, or any of that hollow garbage that sounds good but changes nothing. This is surgical. This is me showing you the exact mechanism by which you destroy every relationship you enter. And more importantly, how to stop. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Women don't leave men they love. They leave architectural disasters who convinced themselves they were mansions. Let's go deeper. You think you lost her because you weren't enough. You weren't rich enough, handsome enough, interesting enough, mysterious enough. Wrong. You lost her because you were too much. Too available, too honest, too transparent, too eager to prove you were worthy of her time. You handed her the blueprints to your soul on the first date and expected her to move in. But no queen chooses a kingdom without walls. No conqueror respects a castle that opens its gates before the siege even begins. You thought honesty was a virtue. It's not. It's architectural negligence. You vomited your insecurities, your fears, your childhood wounds, your need for validation, and called it vulnerability. But she didn't sign up to be your therapist. She signed up to be seduced by a man who has a center that doesn't move when tested. And your center? It's a vacuum. It's a black hole of need disguised as love. Every text you send asking if she's okay is not care. It's you checking if she still validates your existence. Every long explanation of your feelings is not communication. It's you seeking approval from someone whose job was never to grant it. Every time you rearrange yourself based on her feedback, you are not being flexible. You are being spineless. And she feels it. On a cellular level, she feels it. The cruel mathematics of power are simple. Whoever needs the relationship less controls it. Not because they're manipulative, but because they have something you don't. Self-sufficiency. They are the fortress. You are the beggar outside its walls. You were told that power dynamics are toxic. They're not. They're inevitable. The question is not whether there will be a hierarchy in your relationship. The question is, who will occupy the throne? And you, by abdicating your sovereignty, by handing her the crown, by making her opinion of you more important than your own. You placed her on the throne and knelt. She didn't ask you to kneel. You chose it. And now you're confused why she's not reaching down to lift you up. Let me show you what happened. Let me show you the exact moment you lost. It wasn't when you said something stupid. It wasn't when you texted too much or seemed too eager or failed some test you didn't know existed. It was before that. It was the moment you needed her more than you needed yourself. See, most men think relationships are about two people coming together. They're not. Relationships are about two people who are already whole deciding to occupy the same space. But you weren't whole when you met her. You were fractured. You were a collection of wounds and insecurities and unmet childhood needs wearing a grown man's body. And you thought she would complete you. She won't. No woman will. Because here's what they don't teach you. The emptiness you feel inside, that hollow ache that keeps you scrolling at 2 a.m. looking for validation from strangers, that's not something another person can fill. That's architectural failure. That's you trying to build a life on a foundation that was never poured. And every time you look to her to fill that void, you confirm to her that you are not the man she thought you were. You are a project, a fixer-upper, a rehabilitation case. And women don't want projects, they want fortresses they can take shelter in when the world gets too heavy. Think about it. When you're stressed, when you're uncertain, when you're afraid, where do you go? You go to her, you seek her comfort, her reassurance, her validation that you're doing okay. But when she's stressed, when she's uncertain, when she's afraid, where does she go? If the answer is you, ask yourself honestly, what does she find there? Stability, unshakable presence, a man whose center doesn't move no matter what chaos arrives? Or does she find another person who needs comforting, who collapses under pressure, who seeks her reassurance even while she's drowning? You can't be the lighthouse if you're also the sinking ship. And here's the part that breaks most men. She didn't leave because you weren't good enough. She left because every time she leaned on you, she felt you lean back harder. Every time she showed vulnerability, you showed more. Every time she needed strength, you needed validation that you were being strong enough. You turned intimacy into a competition of who could be more broken. And she realized she was dating her own reflection, not a man who could hold space for her chaos without adding his own. Here's where your brain breaks. Your honesty is not integrity. It's strategic incompetence disguised as virtue. You think you're being authentic by sharing every feeling, every fear, every moment of doubt. But authenticity without structure is just emotional incontinence. Imagine you're buying a house. The seller takes you on a tour and immediately points out every crack in the foundation, every leak in the roof, every structural flaw. He says, "I'm just being honest. I believe in transparency." Would you buy that house? No. Because honesty without competence is not a virtue. It's a liability. Now imagine the opposite. A house that's structurally sound. The seller doesn't volunteer every minor flaw because he's not insecure about the foundation. The house stands on its own. It doesn't need to justify its existence. It just exists, solid and unmovable, and you feel safe the moment you walk in. That's the difference. You are the first seller, pointing out every flaw, apologizing for your construction, seeking reassurance that despite all the obvious problems, someone might still want to live there. And she's looking at you the same way you'd look at that house, with pity and fear, and the growing realization that she made a mistake. But here's what kills me. You think this transparency makes you evolved. You think admitting your weakness makes you strong. You think vulnerability is always valuable. It's not. Vulnerability from a position of strength is magnetic. Vulnerability from a position of weakness is repulsive. When a king removes his armor to show his scars, it's powerful because everyone knows he could put the armor back on. When a beggar shows his wounds, it's just more evidence of his inability to protect himself. You've been showing wounds to prove you're human, but she already knew you were human. What she needed to know is whether you were sovereign. And every explanation, every justification, every moment you needed her to understand your perspective proved that you weren't. But here's the part that will either destroy you or save you. The foundation you need, it was never external. You've been looking for validation from women, from friends, from social media, from your job, from anything outside yourself. And every time you found it, it lasted a few hours, maybe a few days, before the emptiness returned. Because external validation is not architecture. It's graffiti on a crumbling wall. It looks good for a moment, but it doesn't change the structural integrity beneath. The fortress you need to build exists in one place only, inside you, and nobody is coming to build it for you. Not her, not your therapist, not your friends, not some future version of yourself who magically figures it out. You, right now, with the tools you have, in the wreckage of whatever collapse you're currently experiencing. This is not the end. This is the threshold. This is where boys who pretend to be men finally face the choice. keep collapsing every time the wind blows, or start building something that can withstand a hurricane. Let me tell you what this looks like. It starts with silence. Not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. The silence of someone who has so much power they don't need to prove anything. You talk too much. You explain too much. You justify every decision like you're on trial for a crime you didn't commit. And every word that comes out of your mouth is a confession of insecurity. Think about it. When a king makes a decree, does he explain himself? Does he give reasons? Does he apologize for his decision? No. He decides. And the kingdom adjusts. But you make a decision and immediately start backpedaling. It's because I thought. And also there's the fact that, and I know it might seem like, but actually, stop. Every justification is a request for approval in disguise. It's you saying, please agree with me. Please validate my existence. Please tell me I'm allowed to make this choice. But power doesn't ask permission. Power occupies space and lets others decide whether to stay or leave. Now imagine this. She tests you, says something passive-aggressive, makes some comment designed to get a reaction, to make you explain yourself, to make you dance the dance she choreographed. And you don't bite. You look at her. 3 seconds of eye contact. No anger, no fear, just presence. And then you go back to what you were doing. She'll ask, "Are you okay?" You, "I'm great." And you don't elaborate. You don't fill the silence with nervous chatter. You let the void sit there, making her wonder what's happening in your head. That silence, that void you created, that's a force field. Because now she's trying to enter your world, not you trying to enter hers. The dynamic just inverted, and all you did was nothing. Power is not noise. Power is gravity. And gravity doesn't shout, it just pulls. Here's another scenario. She criticizes something you did. In the past, you would have immediately defended yourself, explained your reasoning, sought to make her understand why you made that choice. Now, you listen, you process, and you say one of 3 things. Noted. Or, I'll think about that. Or, that's your perspective. And then you move on. No defense, no counterattack. No need to win the argument because you're not playing the game she designed. She expects engagement. You give her acknowledgement without submission. And that difference, that razor-thin line between being defensive and being impenetrable, is everything. Because defensive men are trying to protect something fragile. Impenetrable men have nothing to protect. Their foundation is solid whether she agrees with it or not. But silence alone isn't enough. Because you can be silent and still be empty inside. You can master the external techniques while remaining structurally unsound. So let's go deeper. Let's go to the place you've been avoiding your entire life. The void, the emptiness, the ache, the feeling that something fundamental is missing and you don't know what it is or how to fix it. You've been running from this feeling since you were a child, since the first time you realized that love might be conditional, that approval might be withdrawn, that you might be abandoned, and you've been trying to fill it ever since, with achievements, with relationships, with anything that might make the ache stop for a moment. But it never stops, because you're trying to fill an architectural flaw with furniture. The void isn't the problem. The void is where the foundation should be, and the only way to build that foundation is to stop running, to turn around, to face the emptiness you've been terrified of your entire life and realize something profound. You are not the void. You are what's on the other side of it. Every great fortress is built around a central courtyard, an empty space, a void. But it's not weakness. It's the source of the structure's strength. It's the space everything else is built around. Your emptiness is not a flaw to be fixed. It's a space to be occupied. And the moment you stop trying to fill it with external validation and start building structure around it, everything changes. You stop needing her to complete you because you realize you were never incomplete. You stop seeking approval because you understand that your sovereignty is not up for debate. You stop explaining yourself because powerful men don't justify their existence to anyone. Listen, When you were 12 and they picked teams for basketball, you remember standing there hoping someone would choose you? That feeling in your stomach, that please pick me desperation, you still carry that. You're 35 years old and you're still standing there hoping someone picks you. For the job, for the relationship, for the validation that you matter. But sovereignty is realizing you don't need to be picked. You are the one doing the choosing. You are the selector, not the selected. And the moment you understand that, the entire game changes. She doesn't get to decide if you're worthy. You decide if she's worthy of access to your fortress. Now comes the part most men can't handle, the sacrifice. Because to build this fortress, you have to let parts of yourself die. The version of you that needs to be liked, dead. The version that seeks approval before making decisions, dead. The version that collapses when someone withdraws their validation, dead. These aren't behaviors you're changing. These are identities you're executing. And here's the thing about executions. They're supposed to hurt. They're supposed to feel like loss. Because you are losing something. You're losing the false self you constructed to survive a world that never taught you how to be sovereign. But on the other side of that death, freedom. The freedom to make decisions without internal negotiation. The freedom to occupy space without apology. The freedom to let people leave without collapsing. The freedom to be so structurally sound that her presence becomes a choice, not a necessity. This is the integration. The moment where you stop fighting the darkness inside you and realize it's not darkness at all. It's raw material. It's fuel. It's the very thing you've been trying to escape that becomes the foundation of your power. You think your neediness is weakness? It's misdirected intensity. Channel it toward building something that matters, and it becomes unstoppable drive. You think your fear of abandonment is pathetic? It's actually a deep understanding of impermanence. Accept it, embrace it, and you become someone who doesn't cling because you know nothing lasts forever anyway. You think your anger at being unappreciated is toxic? It's actually self-respect trying to emerge. Honor it without being controlled by it. And you become someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect because you're too sovereign to waste energy on people who don't see your value. The monster inside you doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to be integrated. It wants to be acknowledged as part of the architecture. And the moment you stop fighting it and make it load-bearing, you become complete. Think about what you've been rejecting. The part of you that wants to say no without explanation. The part that wants to walk away from people who drain you. The part that wants to be selfish with your time and energy. You've been taught these impulses are bad. They're not. They're boundaries trying to form. They're sovereignty trying to emerge. You've been at war with yourself for so long you forgot what peace feels like. Peace is not the absence of darkness. Peace is the integration of everything you are, light and shadow, strength and wound, fortress and void, into something coherent, something whole. So here's what you do, not someday, not when you feel ready. Now, you stop checking your phone every 5 minutes hoping she responded. You delete the paragraph-long text you were crafting to explain your feelings. You cancel the plans you made to accidentally run into her. You stop, and in that stopping, in that silence, in that void where all your strategies and manipulations used to live, you start building. You build routines that exist whether she's watching or not. You build standards that don't bend when someone tests them. You build a life so structurally sound that another person's presence is an addition, not the foundation. This takes time, 30 days minimum. 90 days realistically, a year to make it permanent. First week, you identify every behavior that seeks approval, every explanation, every justification, every time you change yourself based on feedback, and you amputate it, surgically, without mercy. You're at dinner, someone criticizes your choice. In the past, you would have explained yourself for 10 minutes. Now, I hear you, and you continue eating. That's it. No defense, no counter-argument, just acknowledgement and continuation. You're texting. You type something, then reread it 5 times to make sure it sounds right, to make sure it won't offend, to make sure you seem interesting enough. Now, you type it once. If it's true, you send it. If it's approval-seeking, you delete the whole conversation. Second week, you build in silence. You don't announce you're changing. You don't post about your transformation. You just do the work. Quietly, consistently, like a cathedral being built stone by stone while the world sleeps. You start waking up at 5 a.m., not because someone told you to, because you decided your sovereignty requires discipline, and discipline starts with how you begin the day. You work out, you read, you create, and you tell no one. The work is its own reward. Third week, you practice strategic concealment, not lies, concealment. You stop revealing every plan. You stop broadcasting every move. You understand that mystery is not deception, it's depth. Depth that makes people lean in instead of you chasing them. She asked what you did this weekend. Old you would have given a detailed breakdown, hoping she'd be impressed. Knew you. Had a good one. Worked on some projects. And you don't elaborate unless she specifically asks. And even then you give her pieces, not the whole picture. Because the man with nothing to hide and the man with everything to hide look exactly the same from the outside. They're both mysteries, and mystery creates gravity. Fourth week, you occupy the throne, not through declaration, through inevitability. You become so structurally sound that people naturally defer to your gravity. Not because you demanded it, because you built something so solid they feel safer near it than away from it. You're in a meeting. Someone tries to undermine you. Bold, you would have gotten defensive, would have fought to prove your point, would have needed to win. Knew you? You let them finish. You pause, and you say, "That's one perspective." And you move on with your proposal. No attachment to their agreement, no need for their validation, just presence, just structure. And here's what happens that you won't expect. They respect you more, not because you won the argument, but because you didn't need to. And somewhere in that process, something shifts. She texts you, or she doesn't. She comes back, or she doesn't. And for the first time in your life, you realize something profound. It doesn't matter. Not because you don't care, but because your foundation is no longer built on her presence. You care, but you don't need. You want, but you don't collapse without. You have become the fortress. Now here's the test. Most men will read this, feel a spike of motivation, and do nothing. They'll go back to their phones, back to seeking validation, back to being structurally unsound and wondering why the building keeps collapsing. A few will try for a day, maybe a week, and the moment it gets uncomfortable, the moment the old identity starts screaming to be let back in, they'll quit. They'll convince themselves it's not worth it. They'll find reasons why their situation is different. And a very small number, the ones who are truly done being refugees, will take the oath. They'll look in the mirror tomorrow morning and say, "The collapse ends here. The begging ends here. The architecture that could be shaken by one person's approval or disapproval ends here." And they'll start building. If you're in that last group, write this in the comments. I am the architect. Not for me, for you. Because when you declare something publicly, you create a contract with yourself. And contracts create reality. But I'm going to be honest with you. This is not for everyone. Most people are comfortable being structurally unsound. They'll collapse and rebuild and collapse again for their entire lives, and they'll call it being human. And that's fine. The world needs spectators too. But if you're different, if you're someone who looks at the refugee camp around you and refuses to pitch another tent, if you're tired of building on sand and watching hurricanes destroy everything you thought was solid, then stay. Because next time I'm going to show you something nobody talks about. Something that, when you understand it, will change not just how you act, but how you think. I'm going to show you how to use strategic invisibility, how to become so structurally sound that people question their own sanity when you simply don't react to their provocations, how to make yourself the prize without ever saying a word about being the prize, how to occupy the throne so completely that she feels privileged to be near it. This is not theory, this is war, and you're ready. I'll see you on the other side.